Hi guys, it's Warnish back with another video. I'm sorry I haven't uploaded. I think I always talk about how I don't upload. Happens every so often. But I do remember talking about how last year was the worst year of my life. And I guess I wasn't lying. I want to talk about how this year has been and how I've been doing. Recently, I got into reading, which is something I have been doing, but I've been doing it more often because I found myself using the internet a lot more than just reading itself. I fell back on it for a while because I was more interested in learning on how other people are doing and their thoughts and their lives. For a short period of time I felt like consuming content rather than learning anything off of it. I read this book called Ender's Game. It's a really good read. You learn about this kid named Ender and how he's seen as the boy who can save the world from aliens named buggers. And you kind of read it and discover the mind of this kid who is seen as the only hope for humanity itself. A lot of strategic values, a lot of things that people think about in the mind of someone who has to go through battle. And I think it's a really good book, and I'm not going to spoil it in case anyone wants to read it. I found it interesting because you'll see the mind of the kid is very mature. You could see the thoughts very clearly, what they're speaking about, on how the author entails everything in the story as if this is the mind of an adult. And it's so interesting to me because that's how I feel like a child sees their own mind. They don't see themselves as a child, they see themselves as a person. That's what I love about this book. They don't treat it as if it's an 8 or 9-year-old thinking, but it's a person thinking and speaking and acting as logical as that person can be, even in the age that they're in. I used to think this way as a child, where I felt like my thoughts and my feelings were the same as any regular person's, whether they were an adult or they're a child. I just felt like I was a person too, and I could talk and learn from people just as well. I've come to realize that I was treated differently for my age. A lot of adults will tell you things, you wouldn't understand it, and you'd try to understand it, and you'd ask them, hey, help me understand. And they'd be like, you could just wait until you're an adult and then you'll understand. Instead of actually telling you what there is to understand. And that, you'll see, is not something that occurs when you read this book. You'll see that these children find effective ways to not be treated so differently from the world just because they're children. They're trying not to be seen. Well, besides Ender, because he can't really help it, but you'll see his siblings try not to fall into the whole prodigy category, and so they hide their identities and follow a specific pattern online. And I won't get too deep into it because, spoilers, but it's just so fascinating to me because that's something that I hated as a kid. It's like an adult or any older figure wanted something out of you, so they just wouldn't tell you how they were feeling, or they're afraid of saying something they feel like they shouldn't say. I used to hate that. I realize now that I was learning a lot from books than I was from anything I was learning online. I think overall I was going through a whole self-discovery stage where I've just been trying to figure out what I have been looking for in general, what I seek, and what my intentions are, because I've been trying to live life, or trying to figure out why I sort of chase acceptance in different sorts of ways. And it's nothing severe, like my family is forcing me to be a doctor or anything like that, but it's more like I've just been trying to figure out my intentions, because there are many times where I feel like I talk to someone and I'll act a certain way or talk a certain way, and I'll want this person to be my friend, or I want to learn from this person. And I feel like I expect friendships or any sort of relationships from people sometimes. I've just been realizing that I don't really need acceptance from people. There's certain people who I don't need friendships from, who I don't need them to fulfill my time, because whether or not they're in my life, I feel like I'd be fine. Humanity has sort of adapted into kind of enforcing ourselves to rely on each other. I need you to do certain things. You'll need each other to survive with food and water and resources. And of course that's heavily still relied on today from people, but it's in a sense where you get rewarded with money, easily order stuff online now, food, water, anything from the grocery store, anything online really. And it's this kind of thing where we don't need to rely on each other for that anymore. We could just be independent and live on our own. And it's like, it's so fascinating how we've sort of created this society where everything is made easy for us, or we're trying to make it so that everything's made easy for us, and we're trying to make it so that we can be independent. You'll see people hating this feeling of like, wow, this person doesn't need me, or people in general don't really actually need me. This person isn't seeking acceptance from me, or like, I'm not getting accepted by these people. A common example that I can give is a lot of like sexism on the internet. You'll see like these podcasts like hating on women, and like, we should go back to how it was back then, and fall back into like this stage of like, I don't know. It's like this empowerment thing. It's just weird because that's become popular out of nowhere. And it's like, where are these podcasts spawning from? In my eyes, it's just the fact that we're developing into a society where people can actually live on their own now, where gender doesn't necessarily play a role heavily. Women can be independent. They don't have to fall into certain rules or terms anymore. I guess that depends. Definitely depends. It's just this thing that I've been thinking about, how we kind of put ourselves into different holes. You know, there's introverts and there's extroverts, and people have told me my whole life, like, there's people who think I'm an introvert, there's people who think I'm an extrovert. I just don't feel like I'm any of those bubbles. I just kind of feel like humans are too dynamic to be one thing. Like, you don't have to be an introvert your entire life. You don't have to be an extrovert your entire life. We can talk to people and interact in any way we want. I'm more or less, I feel like I'm like an omnivore in that spectrum, where I can do the extremes. You could put me in a crowd of people and tell me to talk to all of them, and I'd probably be able to talk to all of them. Or you can block me in my room for a week and keep me from talking to people, and I'd probably go a little insane, but I could do it. I could be in my own if I really wanted to. It doesn't have to be weird talking to people. I'm not saying, you have social anxiety. I'm not saying it's not hard to talk to people, but I'm just saying it doesn't have to be anything weird. It's not hard for me to talk to someone like they're a person, but then I feel like people have like intentions when they talk to people, and then that's what makes it weird. Like, you can feel it when you're talking to someone. I've been learning more about what I want and how I get away from that feeling of acceptance. And obviously, it's natural that we have that feeling, but now I feel like I just don't need to rely on standards. We're forced to do things our entire life, and we're forced to follow under standards. So it's only natural to some degree to adapt to acceptance, to adapt to like, hey, I need to act this way for other people to treat me this way. And so I think now I want to be in this headspace of like calmness again. I'm tired of something severe. I've always been myself, but I don't want to act a certain way to make people think I'm this or that. It's very, very useless way of thinking, useless way of acting. And so I just feel like I'm gonna finally be in tune with what energy I'm actually feeling. Like, I'll act more energetic than I usually am. Or I'll just try to have more comedic energy, but in reality I don't feel like being so funny. I just kind of feel like talking. I just want to kind of go back into my normal state of like, hey, you can kind of be yourself. You don't have to be a certain way. And it's not bad to be a certain way if I've kind of adapted to it. I feel like it's not bad. If I'm fine with it, I don't know. I just feel not so normal when I do it. I feel like getting energy sucked out of me or something. So I'm gonna stop being unnatural in a sense. This year has just kind of been fairly slow. The past week was probably like the best week for me. Seeing people and seeing how people act and how they dress and how they talk and how they present themselves. And I feel like you could just easily read people once you see them. Like the way that they stand still, the way that they act in certain ways. When they say they don't like something and they have this certain expression on their face. When they do love certain things, you could like see the way that they see it. Which is like something I haven't seen in like, I guess, my age in a while. I don't know. It's just interesting to me seeing people I haven't seen in a while, if that makes sense. It's just been a slow year because I've been giving myself time to think and learn about different things, and giving myself time to understand things that were always there, but I just didn't do anything about it. It's so easy to distract ourselves with stuff instead of like reflecting, like, hey, why did I do that? Or like, why do I do this? Or like, why does this make me feel bad? Also, just like studying psychology again, I've just been learning about how to be normal again and different ways I can combat certain thoughts I have, or like situations where I feel stuck, because I do go in these like this depressive stages where I don't want to be productive anymore. It's also kind of why I haven't uploaded, because like I'll just get into these stages where I just want to distract myself and like play games or something because I just feel bad about something. It's so easy for me to fall back into that, but then like gradually I'm just like, you know what, I need to like get out of that hole that I'm putting myself in. And it's just been so much more positive for me, because I feel like I finally considered myself more than I usually have, and it feels nice. I've been told a lot like, oh, you're really like watching the way you do certain things. I just agree. Yeah, like I'm trying to be a little more careful with myself, and I recommend it. I recommend paying attention to what you do and how you live your life. Reflect on your day, like anything that made you feel bad or anything that made you feel good. Don't always reflect on the bad. That's something I do a lot, but it's also good to focus on like the good things that you've done, the good things that you felt. It's like that felt really nice, but that did not feel so nice, you know? I just like finding the comfort in myself that I haven't like found in a while. I haven't really felt that in a while. It's like reading books. Like I'll see like, I don't know, I love seeing like the different worlds that authors will build through words. How did I even do that? The different worlds that the different worlds that authors will create with their imagination, and finding the right words to say it, just building characters and personalities, making a story dynamic without it feeling like this character is the same person. It's weird. It feels like you're connecting with the book, because like this book, it's connected towards your imagination, but it's also with the words of the author. So they aren't your words, but the thoughts are always yours. The way you picture it is always yours. And it's like so like fascinating to me. And that's why they'll always say like the book is better, because it's the way you see it, which is so cool. You should read as well, you know? It's just been so nice to be with myself. It's not that like everything has been going well. The way I see myself has been well, and the way I've been treating myself has been trying, just constantly trying. That's just how we are. Anyways, thank you for listening. I really appreciate it. Please like the video and comment what you liked about the video so that I know what you liked. And also, like, you can say what you didn't like, but I'd rather hear what you liked because it makes me feel better about myself. And tell your mother that I said hi and that we'll be sleeping together tonight. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Oh wait, subscribe. Do that. Yeah, did I say that? Subscribe. Okay, subscribe. Goodbye.